We heard a lot about the Zionist ideology and the idea that the land of Palestine is the land of Israel. Always when you hear it, think about someone coming to you at the dead of night in London and tells you, I used to live in your house 2,000 years ago, and because of that, the house belongs to me. And the next day, they come with the police. And the next day, they come with the police who says, they have a right, you have to give them half of their house. Zionism was a settler colonialist movement that was running away from persecution, but it wanted as much of Palestine as possible with as few Palestinians in it as possible. This was the aim of Zionism in the late 19th century. This is the aim of Zionism today.
You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible. And we do remember, and we are fighting. Our brave troops and combatants who are now in Gaza or around Gaza and in all other regions in Israel are joining this chain of Jewish heroes, a chain that has started 3,000 years ago from Joshua ben Nun until the heroes of 1948, the Six-Day War, the 73 October War, and all other wars in this country. Our hero troops, they have one supreme main goal: to completely defeat the murderous enemy and to guarantee our existence in this country. We've always said, never again. Never again is now.
The scariest part of that speech was the biblical reference Netanyahu invoked. He said, quote, "You must remember what Amalek has done to you." Now, my knowledge of scripture is not fantastic, but many people have now pointed out that in the Hebrew Bible, that Amalekites are described as the enemy of the Israelites, and this is what the Israelites are implored to do to the Amalekites. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. Right? So kill everyone, everything they own, all of them, men, women, infant and babies. Right? Terrifying. For those unfamiliar with biblical references, 2 weeks ago, the former head of Israel's National Security Council expressed his genocidal intent in a more secular idiom in the Israeli newspaper Ynet News. Giora Eiland wrote this: Israel needs to create a humanitarian crisis in Gaza, compelling tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands to seek refuge in Egypt or the Gulf. In order for this to happen, Israel needs to demand 4 key points with greater determination than ever before. 1. The entire population of Gaza will either move to Egypt or move to the Gulf. From our perspective, every building in Gaza known to have Hamas headquarters underneath, including schools and hospitals, is considered a military target. 2. Every vehicle in Gaza is considered a military vehicle transporting combatants. Now, that's particularly chilling, seeing the scenes of the tank firing on a car as we did today. Therefore, there is no vehicular traffic, and it does not matter whether it is transporting water or other critical supplies. Number 3. The UN Secretary General has initiated humanitarian aid to Gaza. The Israeli condition for any aid should be a visit by the Red Cross to Israeli hostages and especially the civilians among them. Until this happens, no aid of any kind will be permitted to enter into Gaza. That is, by definition, collective punishment, a war crime. And number 4, Intermediators with both diplomatic and military experience will be required to explain in detail these concepts to the rest of the world. It will not be possible to remove Hamas without exerting pressure, and if the Americans do not receive a clear and detailed explanation from Israeli officials and understand that Israel has no choice, it is comparable to the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, which led to the launch of an atomic bomb in Japan. So he's talking about an attack on Palestinians to the scale of the atomic bomb. And he concludes by saying this: as a result, Gaza will become a place where no human being can exist. And I say this as a means rather than an end. I say this because there is no other option for ensuring the security of the state of Israel. We are fighting an existential war. Now, you might say that's a former member of the National Security Council. Maybe he got extreme after he left office. Well, 972, which is a magazine for, they describe themselves for independent Israeli and Palestinian voices, they have just published that the Israeli Ministry of Information itself endorsed on the 13th of October, so a day after this article was written, endorsed as its suggested policy position that Gaza be completely cleared of all Palestinians. Right? So, as I say, the Israeli government is not hiding its genocidal intent.
Hamas launched this war by perpetrating the worst savagery our people have seen since the Holocaust. Hamas murdered children in front of their parents, murdered parents in front of their children. They burned people alive. They raped women. They beheaded men. They tortured Holocaust survivors. They kidnapped babies. They committed the most horrific crimes imaginable.
Beberapa negara di dunia melakukan demonstrasi untuk memberikan dukungan ke Palestina. Tak hanya di negara Timur Tengah, demo itu juga dilakukan di berbagai benua di Asia, Australia, Eropa, hingga Amerika. Negara di Asia yang melakukan demo mendukung Palestina ialah Turki pada Sabtu 14 Oktober. Dalam video yang beredar, tampak masyarakat Turki berkumpul di Istanbul untuk menggelar demo massal solidaritas dengan Palestina di Gaza. Demo itu dilakukan di malam hari dengan cahaya dari masjid menjadi penerangan mereka. Aksi unjuk rasa kembali juga digelar di Pakistan pada Sabtu 14 Oktober. Demo yang juga terjadi di malam hari itu memperlihatkan lautan manusia di Peshawar. Kemudian negara Asia ketiga ialah Indonesia yang ikut berunjuk rasa pada Jumat 13 Oktober. Demonstrasi itu terjadi di titik 0 km kota Yogyakarta. Selain berdemo, ribuan warga juga tampak menggelar sholat bersama untuk mendoakan warga Palestina. Kemudian demonstrasi pendukung Palestina juga dilakukan dilakukan di sejumlah kota di Australia. Warga berbondong-bondong memadati kota Melbourne dan Sydney pada Minggu 15 Oktober. Demonstrasi pendukung Palestina juga digelar di San Francisco, California. Terlihat warga mengibarkan bendera Palestina dan memadati jalanan di kota tersebut. Selain itu, negara Skotlandia juga berdiri untuk memberikan dukungan untuk Palestina. Sama seperti sebelum-sebelumnya, warga membawa bendera Palestina dan memenuhi jalanan di sebuah kota. Terakhir, demo di London, Inggris yang terjadi pada Sabtu 14 Oktober. Dalam demo itu terdapat 50.000 orang yang mengepung kantor Perdana Menteri Inggris Rishi Sunak.